Well, that's a really good question. Okay, so here it is. Oh, hello. My name is Dr. Olivia Lesslar. I am an Australian medical doctor and I practice psychoneuroimmunology, longevity medicine, and I am a digital nomad. So today I'm going to be talking about longevity medicine, and I've been doing longevity medicine for about 3 years or so now. That's a really good question. Okay, so here it is. The one thing that is actually aging us is the fact that we are indoors all the time. A. B, we are not connected to the earth in any way, shape or form. In other words, we are not grounding. But C, our light diet, and when I say light, I literally mean light diet, is killing us. So that is that indoors we are under fluorescent or LED lights all day, all night. We're in front of laptops and phones and TV screens, flooding our system with very non-physiologic light. And this also means that we're not exposing ourselves to the right light, which is full spectrum sunlight. You know, that thing that we evolved with. Okay, first of all, we have to define a disease. And a disease is that which interferes with a normal process, right? Human biological process, which has a definitive cause, as opposed to a syndrome. And what's normal then? We call it a life cycle, because we are meant to be born, age, and then expire. For the next generation and the next generation. We're not the only ones to do it. All the animals do it, plants do it, bacteria do it. So when we say disease, what exactly are we talking about? The World Health Organization says that aging is a risk factor for disease. We all know about age-related diseases, but a lot of the time we're blaming age or the passage of time on the emergence of these diseases, as opposed to what we're doing with that time that is leading to these diseases. So I personally don't define aging as a disease, and I also am not interested in wanting to live forever, because there is a reason why we have a life cycle, and us holding on to this idea of living forever, it's an ego trip, right? And which age, by the way, do you want to perpetuate forever? You want to revert back to your 20s and be 20 forever, or 30s or 40s or whenever you made your millions. So it's an interesting game to be in. The science is fascinating. The people that have come out of the woodwork is fascinating. The ideas, the biotech, the innovation, oh, absolutely, it's magical. But the philosophy behind aging is something that we also need to be discussing, because it's not all roses. If we could slow down aging, what is the biggest ethical dilemma we would face as a society? Well, where do I start? First of all, in a Western first world society, we already have a problem with respect of aging. So in cultures like maybe Japanese culture, Chinese culture, there is this inherent respect for elders. We don't really have that in our society. So you're going to have a massive generation of people living older that are not able to get jobs, not able to command any sort of respect. I mean, what do we do with our elders now? I don't know. We don't have, it seems, the capacity to apparently feed the population we have now. We don't have the jobs to be able to sustain the number of people we have on the planet at the moment. We keep talking about climate change and the use of resources. There are so many logistical, economic, political factors to keeping the older population alive for longer. And that's even before talking about how healthy they are. We're still talking about lifespan at this point in time. So let's assume that they were healthy. So we've increased health span alongside lifespan, which is the goal apparently. Then we have to talk about where this population going to live and how they're going to make their money and how the governments are going to be able to provide infrastructure from a medical perspective, let's just say. There are so many factors involved, which is why right now I feel there are definitely government bodies that are taking it seriously enough to convene conferences discussing what they are going to do if we were able to reach that sort of goal of keeping people alive for longer and active in society. Yeah, I'm funny about supplements. And I come from a background of integrative and functional medicine, and I'm funny about supplements. I think the thing about supplements is that we have to go back to what they're originally meant to do. Supplement a diet when you're not able to get your full spectrum of nutrients from your diet. So the other thing about supplements is that it's an unregulated industry. And every time a group goes into it to look for, is what they say on the bottle what's actually inside the capsule, it tends to be a little bit disappointing. On top of that, a lot of supplements tend to be, let's say antioxidant, okay? Everyone knows antioxidants. When you eat food that is grown in your local environment, presumably that food is exposed to the same stressors that you are exposed to as well. But what does that mean? It means that the plant, let's call it, is going to produce polyphenols that is appropriate for that environment, the same environment that you're in. So when we eat that plant and we consume those polyphenols are meant to be appropriate for us as well. So generally speaking, again, there is no one prescription for everybody. Does caloric restriction, does fasting turn on autophagy, which is that cell housekeeping ability? Then yes, it does. However, we have to be very careful. There are certainly some people who shouldn't be fasting as much as the most popular biohacker online. And those people are children, people who are sick, people who are trying to get pregnant, women who are pregnant, people who are breastfeeding, and the elderly in some circumstances. So you can see that this already needs to be personalized. And on top of that, if someone has a twitchy nervous system, so we're talking anxiety, depression, traumatic brain injuries, all that kind of stuff, then you also have to be careful with this autophagy signaling, or you have to be careful with the intermittent fasting, because you might accidentally turn on the survival brain's reaction to what may be perceived as a famine. Advice for doctors coming through who are interested in getting into longevity medicine, I would say have a good, long, hard look at your own practice. Because if you are practicing medicine in a way that is honing into the art of healing, then you are practicing longevity medicine to a certain extent. There's infinite amount of resources online that you can read, watch, do, learn, but the practice of listening to your patients and having optimal health in mind, as opposed to band-aiding their symptoms, that's what longevity medicine is essentially about.